Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. I'm Professor Leon Blevins, Professor of Government at El Paso Community College. The setting we're in is a fascinating setting, as you can see from the camera that is focused on us here. This is a basement room at the International Museum of Art on Montana at Brown Streets. The guest that I have with me had a lot to do with this area that we are doing this interview in today. I have with me Darrell Hyatt over here. Darrell, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leon.
I first met Darrell about 1967 when my wife Shannon and I were managing apartments on the east side of town, and he and his wife Jan rented an apartment from us. So we had a relationship there. We didn't become real close friends at that time. Jan ended up in one of the classes I was teaching at Texas Western College at that period of time. I graduated with a master's in '67. My other guest here is Mario Parra, and I met Mario when I became associated with this museum. My wife and I doing Santa and Mrs. Claus for the museum at Christmas time, and Uncle Sam and Aunt Sammy around the 4th of July. And I kept hearing, you need to interview Mario Parra. He's one of the great artists here in El Paso. And I did find out that that is the case. Let's start with Mario. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Where were you born?
I born in Copper Canyon in Creole.
That's in Mexico.
In Mexico City, in the southern part of Chihuahua.
Okay, and then did your family move to El Paso? Is that how you found your way here, or was it something else?
My family moved to Juarez, and I studied at Juarez, and then I came to live in El Paso in the 1960s.
Okay, and you were in art from a very early age?
Yeah, I won an award at the 8 years old.
8 years old.
And they gave me watercolors.
Okay.
And that really inspired me because many years later I won the first prize in 3 states, Arizona, Texas, and New Mexico.
Wow, okay.
So it was really inspiring me.
Okay, so let's ask before we get to Darrell's questions and how the two of you got to work together, for example, in this area. Who were some of the people that inspired you in art? There were a lot of famous artists here in El Paso, some that became your mentors, those that helped you. Name some of them for us.
Our great friend, Manuel Acosta.
Okay.
And of course, Tom Lee.
Tom Lee.
Tom Lee is the same as Orbici Soler.
Okay.
And the masters from El Paso, Colliger, Ray Lopez Aleman, Bill Rakusi, Mago Gandara. I studied with them in this museum.
And some of their work is on display here.
Yeah.
And some is on display at the Downtown Art Museum. This used to be the Museum of Art, and then the downtown became the main location of that. And we have this, the International Museum of Art. Darrell, you got involved in saving this building as the International Museum of Art. Tell us about that.
Yes, I did. I was fortunate to be asked by Dean Miller, who was on the board that was formed to organize this museum back and given the original name of the International Museum of Art when the El Paso Museum of Art relocated. And the board members that was here that I immediately met was Tony Conde, and Bill Rakusi was the force that I dealt with, and in fact that's how I came to know Mario, was through my relationship with Bill Rakusi, because Mario had worked with Bill for 30 or 40 years. And so what had happened is the building had literally been vacated and was left in neglect for quite some time. And so we had to come in and make commitments contractually with the city of El Paso to repair the building. And I had a background in construction and in sociology and anthropology and archaeology and art. And so I became a caretaker of the facility.
So you became curator, in a sense, of the...
Yeah, I had the title. It varied depending on who I was talking to. I was the acting director, or I could be the head janitorial staff person. Just depended on what needed to be done.
Now, this became a work of love for many people, including you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Didn't make much money out of this, but it was
absolutely.
A work of love.
To this day, I've been retired several years, and to this day, the people that are here are totally dedicated to being here. They want to be here. They love to be here. And so many people historically that were here when they were small children back in the 50s. And of course, the main remodeling came in 59 and 60 when they put the wings onto the William Ward and Iva Turney home here, which was a Trost design home. And it has unbelievable history.
Now, how did the two of you then team up and with Bill Rackesee to develop this room over here is it known as the Juarez Room or the Mexican Revolution Room?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you team up, the three of you, to do that?
And I'll let Mario explain that, because the work was really done by Mario and Bill Rackesee, and with the support of Mrs. Miller and encouragement. This was several years ago. In fact, before 2010, we had talked about it in 2007, 06, about the possibility, and finally it became a reality.
So this was storage area and office area
Yes.
mainly at that time. Okay, tell us how you got roped into this and developing this with
Well, I was I volunteered for I volunteered in the museum, and Rackesee told me if he invited me to work with this exhibition, and I was very excited because I was lucky that I met Doña Luz Corral de Villa a few years before. Then we used to go and talk with Mrs. Villa, and she gave us a lot of historical events.
one of Pancho Villa's wives that was living here in El Paso.
No, she was living in Chihuahua, and now it's a big museum, Doña Luz Corral de Villa.
Okay.
We interviewed the other wife of Villa in Juarez. So with both stories, we end up with a Villa book.
Okay.
So it's a Villa race from Columbus, and we find a lot of little stories in the end that are new, fresh for the public.
Now, you actually donated some of your items you collected for that room next to us right here. Money, coins, spurs, and things like that, didn't you?
Well, we borrow it or lend it to the museum so they can use it.
Okay.
Because I have a collection from that period of time. I have the plan of Guadalupe with the signatures.
Okay.
So I let the museum use it for the revolution
Okay,
purpose.
so they're on loan to the
On loan
museum.
to the museum, but we help constructing the design. I studied museology and museography with the INA, National Institute of Anthropology and History in Mexico City. So that's how I know how to make museums and exhibitions like this. In this exhibition, we have the sculpture of Pancho Villa, the figure.
Right.
So the little kids from the school, they can really see the Villa features and character.
And there's a copy of the death mask of Villa.
Copy of the death mask, and we have original bills, coins from that period of time.
Okay.
The bilimbiques, the little elongated paper money, 1 cent.
Okay.
So it's very famous in the history of Mexico. So I make a lot of trips to Mexico to find in the antique shops, and I have that collection with real coin.
Now, eventually you expanded to this room,
Yeah.
and goodness, this is a project to do all of this fine work here with all the tile work and the flooring and just everything. How did that develop? How long did it take you to design this casita?
Months, at least more than 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I work with Miss Miller. She asked me to work in this design of the casita, and I thought that we should have a living room, the way they live at that time, and the place they pray in their bedroom, and the stove or chimney, so they can see the fire and how they live at that period of time. So I was helped by my son, and we have all the construction here done with no nails in the floor or in the walls.
Now, we put some of the paintings you've done around this wall here and in the wall over in that other area too. Where did you get some of these items that are back here, such as these beautiful works of art, the dresser and all of this that we see.
From donors, the different people, they donate to the museum. Like this furniture, there is a beautiful, very well designed of the
Right.
car, and the bed, and the box for the clothes, that one with the hats and everything.
Right.
Amy,
the
she
case.
helped a lot trying to find some different hats, and as well as Miss Miller, they gave her a lot of this material through different people from El Paso, Texas.
And if I might interrupt, I was involved in a lot of this process, and we do have paintings represented of, like Manuel Acosta painting is in this area. We have Grace Knox Smith painting of the Madonna that's in this area, and it was again an act of love on the part of people who donated, who had come here many years ago, and who wanted to see this area excel and be used rather than just storage in an office type area. But and so Mario, with his talents, was asked by Mrs. Miller if he could create this environment that he's created here.
Well, as you got closer and closer to the finish, I bet your hearts were beating fast.
Oh,
Oh my word!
yeah.
What we want to do at this point is we want to put up the museum's telephone number and website so that people can check out information about this and actually come and see this and all of the works of art that are upstairs and the different galleries, the floating galleries of different exhibits that come through, as well as come down into this basement. A lot of people don't come to the basement. They don't want to get on an elevator and come down to the basement or come down the stairs. They need to know this is here and come and look at it.
Yes, indeed. And in fact, the history even of this area, beyond being areas of restoration and things, it houses the mechanical equipment. We've actually had the architects organization here, and we've actually taken them up into the ceiling areas to see the unique architectural there and all the types of things that are here. But one thing is that this was a storage area during the Mexican Revolution. This house was built, say in 1909, and so it was here, and friends of the attorneys, we weren't I've attorney home, friends
That's
that
the
lived
people
in
that
Juarez.
owned this. And Mr. Attorney had been involved in politics and all
Yes,
this.
very. He was a lawyer, very well known, and anyway, people came here to flee some of the hostilities that were going on in Juarez, and they had used this area here for folks to if they couldn't stay in the upper area, not enough room, they could stay down in this lower area, which was really a storage area for their food products, and so it has a tremendous history beyond what it is today.
Now, Mario, you've told me before that you went to Chicago and studied art there. Now, you studied these other subjects too. How did it turn out that you went to Chicago to study art?
Well, Mr. Cipiora, he helped me with Bill Rackesy and Manny Acosta. They invite all the artists from El Paso, Texas, and we have a sale, and they gave me the money to assist to the Chicago Art Institute.
Okay.
When I was going to the Art Institute, I couldn't arrive, in the airplane didn't land in Chicago because we have 80 inches of snow.
80?
Yeah, so they say now they're going to Cipiora, and they say, there's no way we're going to stop in Cipiora. We're going to Minneapolis or Minnesota, and we stay there in Minnesota, and later on they say, we have to go back to Denver. There's no way to go.
Was that what you call culture shock? You leaving down here with all the sun and you go up there with all that snow?
I was enjoying the sun here and the snow there.
But when you get into the building and you meet these people and you're painting, you're tuning all that snow outside out.
Oh yeah, I forgot everything. But the men from El Paso told me that I must be a crazy kid to go to Chicago with that weather, and then he told me, "What are you doing for a living?" And I say, "Artist." Well, you're crazy.
Going to Chicago and doing art, you gotta be crazy.
Yeah. Then after I went to Chicago, they gave me another scholarship to the American Academy of Art. So I was able to study with Mr. Shapiro. He was the president of the National Watercolor Association. So I was able to study with the Russian master portrait painting. So I was able to study at the Chicago Art Institute figure painting, in oil painting, and the master of portrait in the American Academy.
Okay, I see a lot of portraits around here. What about nature? You do some nature portraits also?
Oh yeah. I'm now doing a trips every summer. I go with my brother, and I'm visiting national parks. I've been working plein air, painting in the spot in Grand Canyon, Yellowstone. I just came from Mount Rushmore, Utah, the Arches, Moab, all of those places, Zion, Mesa Verde, Antelope. All of those places really inspire me because as a kid I grew up in the Capri Canyon, and we have a beautiful vistas. So I always enjoy the depth of the Capri Canyon and the effects through the day of the sky and the light.
Well, if anyone wants to purchase one of your pieces of art, is it best to just leave this number with the museum and they come through that museum number to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
You still live in Juarez now, don't you?
Yeah, I still live in Juarez, and I teach in the University of Juarez in UACJ, and I teach in the Tecnológico de Monterrey, Monterrey campus in Juarez, as well as I teach a lot of little kids in the colonias.
Okay, as this conversation is going on, we're going to weave in some of these pieces of art that are in this room and in the room next door for people looking at. I know it's sometimes hard to sell a piece of art. It's like your baby.
Yeah.
But you need the money to live on to draw the next one.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, yeah.
So people can work through this telephone number website here to see about pieces of art. And sometimes they have shows of yours in some of the galleries upstairs, don't they?
Yeah, I have shows here and in different places, different galleries, as well as Mexico. And I just have like 13 one-man shows and like 12 group shows in Mexico City. They gave me the opportunity to exhibit with Diego Rivera in his studio.
Diego Rivera.
Diego Rivera.
Okay.
So I exhibit in the Anahuacalli Museum. That building, Juan O'Gorman, one of the great masters from Mexico, he is like Greco. He make that building for Diego Rivera, and in the third level is his studio. So I exhibit with Diego Rivera in that museum.
Oh,
And he just got back from Poland. He was invited by the people of Poland to come and do a show, and and they reciprocated, and they came to El Paso to show some of their art.
Okay. Well, we're sitting here with one of the icons of El Paso art world, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Now, we lost Bill Rackesee a few months ago, and we
Yes.
had a retrospective about him here at this museum. And so we all have wonderful memories. We can't take all of this art to heaven with us, but we can sure share it with other people now and into the future. That's one of the great things about art. Who are some of your artists from the past? When you studied art history, did you have some that you really thought they inspired you?
Oh yeah, my professor, I live with him in my spirit, Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo
okay.
da Vinci is my first master, and I always carry with me Leonardo.
Okay.
I speak with him with my spirit, always, Leonardo, come on. And but the great masters from the different periods, like the great master Picasso, Pablo Ruiz Picasso, Salvador Dali, and of course he taught me my good and great friend Rufino Tamayo.
Okay. And what about Southwestern artists?
Southwestern art I have.
George O'Keeffe or any of these? What?
Oh yeah. The first great master I learned from is a true Bill Rackesee, Peter Hurt.
Okay.
And then I studied with Bob Lucky. He's the designer of the Red Horse with wings in the mobile oil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bob Lucky, he taught me. And Clark Hewlins, great famous in Santa Fe. And Tom Lovell, he's the painter, the muralist painter for the oil company in here in this area in Texas. And Walt Gonski and Russ Gobble, they consider the Monets of these times. And of course, my friend George Carlson, he is a master, he's like Rodin. He sculpted the Taromaras. So I went with him. I make 6 trips of 1 month each trip to paint. I got the models for George every day. Okay. The Taromara, and we paint we paint with models. So he make a series of sculptures. Then they ask him to show the sculptures in the Smithsonian.
Is that the
institution.
most recent project you've had, or do you have something else you're working on now?
Well, that was in 1975.
Oh, that's a long time ago then. Okay.
Yeah, right now I'm working in promoting my work, and I'm working a little bit in the movie making, the short movies.
You and Derrell did a little short movie about Bill Rackes.
Bill Rackes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, we did. And Mario with his sons have gone into movie making in a great way. And Mario used to always tell me about acting and what have you. And in fact, this first film that they've done, the maestro is, there's this old gentleman walking down the railroad tracks coming towards you, and I didn't even know who it was. I didn't know it was Mario. He was portraying this very elderly man, and then it tells the story of how he came from a young man from Creel and the Copper Canyon area, and how he came up into this area, and it reflects back into that youthfulness and how it's now ended to where he's an older man. So they've done that, but before that we had gotten into seeing Bill Rackes on a very regular basis at his studio and up on Emory on the west side of town, and he was just so vibrant. I mean, even when he was 91 years old, he was ferocious at painting, and so Mario said we have to capture this, and so we set out and filmed him on several occasions and talked to him about his his view on the art and the history, and had him show some of his pieces and his works and tell us a little bit about it, and it was fantastic. And it was uplifting to both him and his widow, now Gloria. She's in some of the film, and we just showed this past Sunday. We just showed some here at the museum.
Isn't this one of the things that causes a creative person to maybe live longer and feel younger and stay younger, even if our bones are hurting? Yeah. We're still being creative. What about that aspect of it?
Yeah. I think that every day, if we look for something different to start in different projects, we live healthy in our brain, in our spirit, because every day is an opportunity to do something. Okay. So you should keep doing different things, not only one.
And you're looking at different aspects of things from different directions, not getting stuck in the mold and stereotyping everything you're doing. It all has to be like this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Derrell, we're getting a little short on time now. What about anything that you're thinking about as helping Mario with his work?
Well, the big thing that I think about is really the relationship that Mario had with Bill Rackes, and their growth through a lot of years was this exchange of this camaraderie that they had, this knowledge of art, and it was just a natural flow and exchange. And Mario had to go through unbelievable lengths to come across the border and deal with the traffic, and there were just so much, and I just thoroughly enjoyed.
Now you still help with that. You still go over and bring him across.
I help on occasion, and am able to partake of the culture in Juarez and love every moment of it. And but mainly when, which we haven't talked a lot about, Iraq's like involvement in this area, the Mexican Revolution part. There are some murals in there, and there are. We briefly mentioned the death mask of Pancho Villa. Totally Bill Rackes, when he was the art historian for the El Paso Museum of Art, made a copy of one of the 3 death masks that was made of Pancho Villa when he was assassinated in Parra, and it was given to Loreto Academy, and so he made the reverse casting of that, and it's in the museum here, and so it has provenance. And but Bill was he was a trained museologist, and Mario and him go back to the Wilderness Park Museum. They did the murals and out there years ago when it first opened. It's now the El Paso Museum of Archaeology, I believe.
Yeah,
is,
now Bill said one of his disappointments, they had it rolled up and they didn't have the ones that he had done up on display at this time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
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 They had some.
Yeah, they're back in the El Paso Museum of Art has them. Yes.
Oh, they're downtown in storage there.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the problems with art museums. You need space.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you need conditions. Temperature conditions need to be right so you don't have destruction of some of that artwork. All of that is an issue. And those of you that work in this field know a lot more about that than I do.
Yeah. Yeah, this building actually, in some ways, is is a work of art, and especially art history, because it does have devices here that was used back in the late 50s and early 60s.
And they're getting very old.
Yeah, for measuring this, a humidistat, that's what it's called,
right.
and they were manually loaded with their charts that kept a reading, and yes, you're.
And we had a fundraiser a couple of years ago to raise money just to upgrade the air conditioning facilities because they went out on us. Well, our time is gone, I tell you. It's been so much fun, Mario, to get better acquainted with you in a setting
you.
like this. In your casitas, okay, your house.
Yeah. Yes.
Mi casa es su casa.
Yeah.
And good to see you again.
Yes.
Outside of the apartment buildings, this is a much more attractive place to be.
Oh, fantastic! I think I'll retire to here.
Okay, let's retire here. Well, thanks for watching Perspectives El Paso. I'm Leon Blevins with some wonderful people at the International Museum of Art.